You know, it was 50 years ago that I had the honor as a newly initiated brother to attend my very first conclave. And as I mingle here at this conclave, I just can't help but be impressed by the undergraduate SigEps that are here. You are truly an impressive group, and we are very proud of you. And sitting in our midst today is a great American who we are equally proud of. General Boles, we know you are proud of your humble beginnings. So it is no surprise, Brother Billy Boles, that despite everything you've achieved, you remain humble to this day. You actually have much to brag about, including a distinguished 35-year career in the United States Air Force, from which you retired as a 4-star general. But when you speak with others, you're just as likely to share childhood memories as you are to talk about your professional achievements. You were born into a family of sharecroppers in North Carolina. Your folks didn't have a lot of money, but you were rich in the ways that mattered. You had a good life centered on family, friends, and a close community. You've never forgotten how people from that community gave you the opportunity to attend college and to see more of the world beyond your town. Your high school guidance counselor encouraged you and helped you to get into North Carolina State. And the man who owned the land, your family farmed, provided financial support whenever you ran short on money. When you arrived at college, a new community awaited you in the form of SigEp. You joined the fraternity, served as house manager, and made some really, really good friends. In particular, you always said you enjoyed the daily lunches at the chapter house and the camaraderie you shared with your brothers. You said the SigEps were more than willing to help you with classes and with other life lessons. You were teaching others and you were learning from others through daily interactions with them. The other major part of your college experience was serving in the United States Air Force ROTC. As graduation neared, you looked forward to a career as an Air Force pilot. But during your entry physical, the doctor discovered you had an astigmatism, meaning they weren't going to let you fly. Officers familiar with your skills recommended other areas where you could serve. And that's how your career as a United States Air Force personnel officer began. You started out assisting with student records at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. From there, you moved on to serving as an instructor in the Air Force's Personnel School. In this position, you trained personnel in the U.S. and in Vietnam, and along the way, developing strong relationships with personnel who you continue to work with throughout your military career. A few years later, you landed your first really big assignment as the Assistant Executive Officer to the Commander of the Military Personnel Center at Randolph Air Force Base. Due to your ability to work well with people and to bring out the best in them, you continued moving up the ranks, eventually becoming Commander of the Air Education and Training Command, leading the 70,000 person organization responsible for recruiting, educating, and training of Air Force personnel. In this role, you were the senior personnel officer for the entire Air Force, an organization of more than 700,000 people at the time. By the time you retired from the Air Force in 1997, you earned an impressive list of decorations, including 2 Legions of Merit, the Bronze Star, and the Distinguished Service Medal with an oak leaf cluster, the country's highest peacetime military award. And just last year, the Military Officers Association of America included you on its list of 100 veterans the public should know about. Retirement from the Air Force didn't mean you were done working. You continued supporting our military as a mentor to prospective support squadron commanders. And you went on to use your skills in the private sector, serving as an executive at a healthcare organization and a tech company before deciding to retire to spend more time with family and to serve on the boards of the Air Force Museum, Our Lady of the Lake University, and other organizations. Brother Billy Boles, there is no better day than today to honor you on your birthday. Brother Boles, it gives me great pleasure to confer the SigEp citation in honor of your career and many achievements. Please join us on stage. I think we have some candles to blow out.
There's no question that a personnel officer has enough hot air to blow out any number of balloons. The way my grandkids tell me, and many of the people that worked for me, is they could always tell when I was spoofing them. I'd say, well, how do you know that? They say, well, your lips are moving. You know, God, what a great, great celebration of a 45th birthday. Oh, well, it's been a great life. It has been a great life. And from what I understand, if you want to keep having a great life, you have to keep breathing. So I'm working on that too. You know, I went to some function back in North Carolina a few months ago, and I saw somebody I hadn't seen for a long time, and they said, well, it's great to see you. And I said, hell, at my age, it's great to be seen. And not only that, it's a lot better to be seen than to be viewed. And these two guys overheard the conversation, and one of them said, you know, if you go to a funeral, when you go through the viewing line, after everybody gets through, they stop and they make a comment. He said, what do you want them to say when they go through your viewing line? And the other guy said, I want him to say, look, he moved. You know, I was asked what Sigma Phi Epsilon meant to me. A lot of the words that the Admiral used, and so much that we've heard here. But there's two words that really I learned in Sigma Phi Epsilon. Warm beer. Our house had the party room and the dining room in the basement. And that was the only place there were refrigerators. So when you were having a party, you'd go down there and you'd put your beer in the refrigerator. Well, I think those damn Sigma Chi's next door came over and drank it because brothers wouldn't do that. So I found that if I just left it up on the second floor in the closet, and when I wanted a beer, go up and get it. Saved a lot of money too. But I think the thing that's so important is the value of relationships, the value of friends, and staying with them. It's worth so much, and you think back to the people that you were in the fraternity with, and you learned much from them. And you tried to teach the pledges then. And you had started establishing relationships when you were a pledge. So I look back at that, and those relationships and the way those people handled themselves meant so much. Now, most of these from here on are comments that I developed and I used in mentoring and talking to younger officers and younger NCOs and even older ones. What's important? Little things like never kick a fatty on the way up that you may need to kiss on the way back down. And this is more to the undergraduates than to the alumni, but you're going to find that there's a practice in the hiring world called phone checks. Somebody's going to be looking at your resume and saying, hey, you worked at Carta with Frank Furr. What was he like? And if somebody said he would climb your back in golf spikes to get ahead of you, you were dead in the water. So getting those positive phone checks, and I don't mean sucking up, but I mean just being a good person, being a team player, was worth so much. The second part of this would be bloom where you are planted. Work the job you have today. Don't worry about the next job. You know, we all have done in college, and you'll do this as you get older. You're going to say, well, I had a problem there, but if I make 100 on all the rest of the test, I'll end up with a C average. You're not going to make 100 if you hadn't been doing that before. So don't dream of your next job. Dream of the job you have now and work that. Make it great. Now, something else you need to think of. You're probably not the sharpest pencil in the box. And if your idea is better than everybody else's, or you think it is, why isn't everybody else doing it that way? Why are they doing theirs their own way? Success, initiative. There's an old Eskimo saying that says, if you're not the lead dog, the view is always the same. And the other thing about dogs is, just think, there is no tree that gets too big for a small dog to lift his leg on. And that can happen to you too. Or as I gave you an Eskimo saying there, a Texas saying, there's nothing in the middle of the road except a yellow stripe and dead armadillos. It's just roadkill. So pledge training has set the stage for most of us as we were coming along. Perspective and focus. Keep the right perspective. Don't get tied up rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. That's a waste of time. There's a story of Fulton when he was developing the steam engine. The crowd would stand on the bank as he was trying to get it started, and they'd start chanting, "It'll never start, it'll never start, it'll never start." And after it got started, they changed the chant. It'll never stop. It'll never stop. It'll never stop. And you're going to have those naysayers wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And I pardon my French on this one, but a good friend of mine came back to the Pentagon from Germany, assignment in Germany, and he brought back this humongous brass plate that he had covered the entire wall behind his desk. And in German, it said, "There are more horses' asses in the world than there are horses." Now, you got to keep in mind, you do not, I repeat, do not want to contribute further to that imbalance. Tom Landry. I think several of you have heard of Tom Landry, great Dallas Cowboys coach, said that in order to be successful, pass-fail criteria are competency and character. You have to display competency and character. Then you have the respect of your people. But in order to do that, too, you have to respect their competency and character. They will do anything for you then. So the challenge to be a good leader is to have a responsibility, have a good sense of duty, willingness to sacrifice for the welfare of the team. You've done that, you're doing that daily in your fraternity. You're sacrificing for the good of your chapter. It goes down to their simplest term, nothing difficult about anything there that I have said to do. There's an old Indian saying that said, when you were born, you cried. The world rejoiced. Live your life such that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. Think about that one. Now, you have to enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, you can bet that the people who are working for you and with you are not enjoying their job. So have fun. If you can't have fun and if you don't enjoy it, get something else to do. So I would give you a charge to go forth, do good, fight evil. Those are simple things to do. But I thank the board, I thank everybody that's been associated with this conclave. It's been great. You are great people, and we knew you would do this, do it well. So it is an honor indeed to receive a citation from Sigma Phi Epsilon. Thank you, and God bless.